What is up, Evil Dead fans? We're gonna go over block placement when you place it in your chainsaw and ways to modify it to fit more snugly, or snuggle a little closer to your cuff piece if you actually insert your cuff piece to avoid gaps. Before I get started, I want to just say something. The video I did yesterday and posted, I did delete that. The gentleman I was talking about, he did contact me, and I thought that was pretty cool, and we hashed it out, and I agreed to take down that video as a mutual respect, and we decided to just part ways. And you know, best of luck to him. And I think that was a really cool thing he did to actually approach me about that and to get it squashed. So I think that's cool. And you guys, you know, he runs Twisted Imperfections on Facebook. You know, and he wants people to go on there to post various different things. It doesn't have to be just Evil Dead stuff. It can be anything, really. And he's doing a Freddy glove right now and showing some support. He's not a bad guy. And I have a lot of respect for him for, you know, confronting me about it and being a man about it. And, you know, I respect that. I really do. So it's all hashed out. It's all done with. And that's the last I'm going to talk about it unless something else pops up, which I don't think it ever will. Like I said, we came to a mutual agreement and hashed it out, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool of them. But yeah, let's talk about the block pieces. Now, when you do, like, say, Ash vs. Evil Dead, your block piece, and I've gone over this a few times, you don't have to mold this piece into the block. You don't have to. It's more of a cleaner look if you decide to do that. This one is not the ones I'm going to put on the chainsaws for Chicago. They are not molded in. If you're doing Army of Darkness, those ones are not molded in as well. And I want to, you know, thank a lot of people, because a lot of people told me my Army of Darkness chainsaw was the best I've ever done with the detail and things like that. And you know, usually I'm just like, yeah, it's cool. It's whatever. But a lot of people love it, and I appreciate the comments and the feedback on it. And somebody wanted me to build one for them, but I don't know if I'm going to build any more chainsaws per se after Chicago. I know I have plans for the post-apocalyptic chainsaw, and I've been talking with another gentleman who wants a post-apocalyptic chainsaw for some artwork. So I'd make two different ones, one from my design and then one from his design. We'll just see how that goes and how much time I actually have. And I want to just give a shout out right now to Master of Laughter 2.0. I haven't talked to him in a while, and I really hope he gets this Evil Woods thing going. And with that being said, I got some announcements after I show you guys the block placement. And yeah, here we go. All right, guys, so what we have right here is a block that's yet to be trimmed down, anything like that. And we have the same one right here, which is put in place. Now, when I grab my PVC, remember, I only use this side so I can put my hand in there. This is a 3-inch PVC. It's for sewer, thin wall. The reason why I don't use the 3-inch side is because this gives a little more give, so you can put your hand in there. So if I line it up right here, right in there, you can see, oh, well, it fits just fine. It butts up right against it. But look at the other side. See how it comes out a little bit, which is okay. But you got to remember, if you're doing Ash vs. Evil Dead versus Army of Darkness, Ash vs. Evil Dead, the handle's slightly cocked in a bit, and the cuff is somewhat inserted. Or not the cuff, but the strap is somewhat inserted. So you can say, well, I want to leave it back like this, and you can do that. That's fine, but you will have a gap. Let me show you what gap you're going to have. The gap you're going to have is right in here. You'll be able to see your hand unless you fill that in with something. Or extend your top down further, which might look wonky. You can say, well, I'm going to round out this other piece. Regardless, if you have this size or bigger, you're going to have to round that out. And when you get your top on, since the back of the top for Ash vs. Evil Dead is closed in, you want that to be even. You don't want it to be super thick on this other side and super thin over here, or vice versa. So going back to this piece, to line it up, what you can do And you can pre-do this, and you know, I just made this. This is the new thing that I've been doing just to make it line up a lot better and a lot easier on me. Is I get a Dremel with a nice cutting blade, and I cut this off here. And it really just depends on how far inserted your cuff is going to be, how far you need to cut off. So as you can see, it's right there like that. You cut that off, and then you figure out where this needs to be somewhat rounded out. Then you trace your line. This is the best way to use as a guide, and trace that out. Then you use your Dremel tool and use some sandpaper, and you round it out so it fits snug against this piece here. It lines up perfectly. So the best thing to do is have this pretty much done, your cuff piece, and just round it out, make it line up, and it should slide in just fine. Like I said, if you decide to just push the cuff over even further, you might have problems lining up your top with your cuff. When it comes to your top and your cuff and this piece, it all coincides together. I have made them in the past with different size blocks and sometimes left a little gap between here. I'm trying to stray away from that. It's a new method that I've actually started doing as of late. And if you look right here, I did it with this one. Now, if you look, you can say, well, you can see the rounded out part of it. Well, actually you can't, because this piece covers it up. And from a top view, you can see that the cuff, this round line, actually comes out just a little bit past this wooden block. Just a little bit, right at that little edge. So it's just a little bit. You don't have to round it out too much, but it'll give it a nice snug look. You don't have to put a backing piece on the top because it's so close. And on your insert, your cuff actually covers any gaps. I do keep the backing down here. You can't see it because it's covered up, but I keep that so I cover all gaps. But that's really a nice and simple way of doing that, on lining this up against it if you want to go with a wide block look. And remember, depending on the size of your hand, which will tell you what size of the cuff you need. If you need a super big one, you're gonna have to round this side out and round this side out if you want the proper block. Or you can mess around with different widths of blocks here. If you're going with the block technique, which they did off the show in Army of Darkness. And I did the same technique on my Army of Darkness chainsaw as well. Actually revamped that block the other day. And remember, when you do the Army of Darkness block, it doesn't have to be super clean like Ash vs. Evil Dead. But as you can tell, I did mold in my muffler piece with the block just to give it more of a natural look. But that's really all you do. It's very simple to do. Easy way to line it up. And an easy way, if you've done this method, to repair it, to change it up, because it's only held in by these two bolts up here, this whole block piece, unless you epoxied it in, which good luck, you're gonna bust up your saw a bit, taking it out. One more thing before I go. If you're someone who makes a full motor piece all the way across, and let's say, if you cut this out and you have a full piece, it's not gonna really hinder anything. It's still, you might have to move your hand over depending on the size of your hand. If you have a smaller hand, you might be able to wiggle over. But if it's all the way back behind here, you're gonna have to really round out that other half to make everything right, and actually round out the motor backing for your cuff insert as well. So that's one thing you want to remember. When you do your top and do your cuff and you want your block to line up, everything has to be perfect within an eighth of an inch or a 16th of an inch of perfection, or else everything's going to sit wonky. So I hope that helped you guys out, and I'm going to give a couple announcements right now, and hope you guys enjoyed this. Okay, I kind of went over that really quick. If you have any questions, just put it in the comments and I will answer anything you guys need. If you guys want more closer looks on the Ash vs. Evil Dead muffler block piece, or if you want to learn more on want me to show a little bit more of the Army of Darkness block piece, which is different per se. I really just want to give a lot of credit to a young builder. His name is AVED. He built a really super cool Proton pack, and he's, you know, just a young guy, but I'm so impressed with what he does. I actually watched one of his live videos, and some of the stuff that he was making, very impressed with him. And if he's watching, Alex Who Creations, I would like to invite you to the Knights of Samaria page where there's a lot of top builders in the Evil Dead community. If you have any questions on anything, you know, if you're making a power glove, which is big right now, a lot of people are doing power gloves. I think a lot of people next are going to be doing AOD gauntlets and sharing a lot of information on that. So if you're interested in that, let me know in the comments, and I'll point you the way to get to the Knights of Samaria page on Facebook. We even got some of the people who worked on the Evil Dead trilogy on the page, which is amazing. And we have Tom Sullivan, the legend himself. He's on the page. And we have Rob from the Book of the Dead, who did 6 chainsaws for Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 1. So he's on there as well. So if you want any suggestion from anybody or any help, and if anybody else is watching this and want to build something, like I had a lot of comments today, some people wanted to build a chainsaw, and I said, well, you can come to my channel, but being on the Knights of Samaria page also will benefit those individuals as well. With that being said, guys, I know I went super quick over this thing, but there's not much to talk about. It's like a 10-minute fix. If you have a Dremel with a cutting tool and say it's done, a Dremel with a cutting tool and sandpaper, you can knock it out pretty quick. So if you want me to explain a little bit more, tell me in the comments, or find me on the Knights of Samaria page or on Facebook at Brett's Groovy Chainsaws or Bob John. If you see Bob John, that's me. I'm Bob John. I will not tell the reasons why it's Bob John. You can call me Bob, you can call me Brett, I don't care, it doesn't matter. You can call me Glenn, it's fine. But guys, till next time, you stay groovy.